Hey everyone, Larissa here. Just wanting to share a little bit about our May focus of the month in meditation. And we're moving along with the Four Noble Truths. And in the Four Noble Truths, the fourth one is the Eightfold Noble Path. And that's what we're really going to be focusing on this month is that Eightfold Noble Path. And rather than getting into all eight of the pieces and parts of it, I'll definitely invite you to join us in our morning meditations. And we do a really nice mixture of being able to sit in your meditation and just practice being with your body, noticing your breath, these really subtle practices that we work with, but also this gaining of knowledge and practicing some of these really beautiful concepts like the Eightfold Noble Path. So, if you join us in meditation, there's a little bit of learning, but there's a lot of simply just practicing what it is that we're learning. And in this Eightfold Noble Path, there's three main parts to it, and it's really looking at the ethics of our behavior in the world. And in addition to the ethics of behavior, we're also looking at wisdom. How do we utilize insight and wisdom rather than just using knowledge or using behavior patterns like habit patterns of mind? And then the third piece is really looking at our mental discipline. And sometimes the word discipline can feel harsh. It's like, discipline, get out the ruler, whatever. But really, it's this gentle and wise choice making and looking at our mental patterns within that. So we're looking at our external behavior, we're looking at wisdom and intuition rather than just knowledge. And then we're working with that idea of developing this gentle and wise choice making, especially as it comes to our thought patterns. So stepping into that, there's one word from the original Sanskrit or Pali that really stands out before the eight concepts. There's things like right understanding, right speech, right action, things of that nature. And the word right, it comes from the word sama. Sama is difficult to translate as many of the concepts are because Sanskrit and Pali are both and languages. English is very much an either or language. So in sometimes making this translation, it's not always exacting. And Sama is one of those words. Very often, if you did a Google search and you looked up the Eightfold Noble Path, you're going to see right understanding or right thoughts or right intuition or whatever it is. And we're not necessarily talking about the right way to do it, which is how we would translate it in English. The word sama more completely means a connected whole. It's also a term of endearment. And the final way that we can think about it is instead of the right way, it is the way that meets the situation in the best way possible, which is not as concise as right. But I just really want to highlight that. And again, if you join us, we'll be practicing with that concept that there isn't a right way and a wrong way to do things. So a lot of times we think about that Eightfold Noble Path. When we think about the quote unquote right way, that path becomes rather narrow. There isn't one right way. We're really looking at what is right for me. What is a way that I can connect myself to the whole rather than sometimes I dissociate with my fear or I disconnect myself like, oh my gosh, I would never do that. And I'm judging somebody else for their actions. It's not about right and wrong. It's more about what is this broad path that we're all walking on, this path away from all of our sufferings and towards our most connected self. And the wisdom of the Eightfold Noble Path and the Four Noble Agreements is that there's difficulties along the way. We're walking this path. There's going to be difficulties. It's just part of being human. The Eightfold Noble Path is about making wise choices, making conscious choices, and doing the best we can to make choices that are good for us and our community. We're not separating ourselves to try to do it. I'm going to do it, quote unquote, the right way because there's one way to do it. And we're also not separating ourselves in looking at, okay, I'm going to memorize these list of rules. The idea of the Eightfold Noble Path is it's not a list of rules, it's a set of tools that we can utilize to make those wise choices, to be a little bit more conscious about how are we interacting with life as it comes to us. So I invite you to walk this Eightfold Noble Path with us. And again, just sitting down and being able to experience a little bit of stillness in your day is a huge part of the practice. Certainly, we'll gain some knowledge as we study the Eightfold Noble Path. But I'll invite you right now just to take a moment of meditation with me. Meditation doesn't have to be anything particular. You don't have to sit a certain way. You don't have to close your eyes. But being very mindful about what is present for you is part of our practice. So I will invite you, if it makes sense, to close your eyes just for a moment. We often close our eyes so we can stop that external orientation. So you can just notice for a moment, what does my inner world feel like? Can I just notice a breath? And right here, my breathing is exactly as it needs to be because it's giving me life. And it doesn't mean I can't adjust or change my breath more purposefully or consciously, but just noticing how my body breathes for me. It is exactly what I need in this moment. And this is part of the Eightfold Noble Path. Is just trusting your experience in the moment and wisely choosing what is it that I need in this moment. So just a few more moments here, noticing my breath. Just curiosity. If I take a deeper breath, or if I invite in a little bit of relaxation as I exhale, does that offer me a new kind of support? And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and just check in, see how you feel, just noticing one breath and remembering that our breath, no matter how it is, even if it's a little bit tight or we have a stuffy nostril or when we get, slept wrong and we've got a stitch in our side or whatever it is, it's still giving us life. And even though it might not be quote unquote the perfect breath, it's still the right breath for us. It is the connected breath that we need in that moment. And we'll continue to work with that concept as we walk this Eightfold Noble Path. Invitation to join us any morning at 7:30. It's always free. We do it virtually so you can join us from anywhere. And hopefully we'll see you soon.